Greetings and welcome back. Welcome back to my channel for another video. And this is a revisit of the disappearance of Relisha Rudd. Now, there have been many cases, as we know, as of late, of missing persons. However, and no disrespect, there are many people that have gone missing for years. And unfortunately, there's a certain demographic that does not get as much attention. So, because this is out of my neck of the woods, Washington, D.C., and because the Department of Justice and the FBI has a stance on making sure that all crimes and the protection of young people are at the top of their list, and any type of cases such as these missing persons all should be looked at. And this is a direct call to action to FBI Director Kash Patel and AG Pam Bondi to dig deep, dig deep if you need to, and see where the case of Relisha Rudd is on your desk, or has it gone completely cold? Keep in mind, this case originated here in Washington, D.C. Your offices are in Washington, D.C. I hope, I pray that this gets to you. Relisha Rudd. Now, I put up my disclaimer earlier as I opened this broadcast. The images, the interviews that you will be hearing may be difficult for many and very disturbing. Viewer and listening discretion is highly advised. Relisha Tenu Rudd was born October the 29th, 2005. However, she disappeared on March the 1st, 2014. She was 8 years old. Again, only 8 years old at the time when she went missing. In February 2014, she had not been found. Rudd had been living in the DC General Shelter, which used to be DC General Hospital, where many people that I know that I've grown up with were actually born there. She was living there with her mother and was befriended by a janitor by the name of Khalil Tayton, a former felon. Let me repeat that. She was befriended by a janitor by the name of Khalil Tatum, a former felon. Relisha Rudd, according to many reports, had been going through a lot as a child, as early as 2 years old. Keep in mind, she was 8 when she went missing. Relisha stopped attending school, but, and this horrible very sad story. It had been weeks prior when she was caught on camera with Khalil Tatum at an area hotel, as you can see. Now, the story takes many twists and turns, so much so that it even went so far as going to an episode of the Steve Wilkos show. I'm going to be presenting you a short clip of that, and I would encourage you to visit archives of the Steve Wilkos show because the stepfather and the grandmother willingly took lie detector tests, both of which they passed. The mother, Shamika Young, refused. She refused to take that lie detector test. Let's listen to what the grandmother had to say.
Her mama would have let me keep Relisha, she'll still be here. We wouldn't be where we at right now.
So that was the voice of her grandmother, who stated that if Relisha was in her custody, she believes she would still be here and this would not be where we are today. As I mentioned, this case has been 11 years, and her anniversary of being reported missing will be March the 1st. March the 1st. So, those of you that care about missing people, all missing people, mark your calendars because we're coming up on another year that Relisha Rudd from Washington, D.C. has been missing. As I mentioned, this case has, like others that we've heard about almost 24/7, many twists and turns. To focus on janitor Khalil Tatum, who put himself off as a doctor. Again, keep in mind, it was later learned that Khalil Tatum is a former felon. And what even makes this story more sordid, if it can even get more sordid, his wife with whom he checked into an Red Roof Inn hotel in PG County, just shy of Washington, D.C. His wife was found unalived. Police say, and investigators say, that Tatum was responsible for the unaliving of his wife, and they believe that it was because the wife was trying to save Relisha Rudd. So we're going to listen to a clip that gets a little bit more information.
If my daughter is watching this right now, I would say, I love you. And come back home to your mother safely and unharmed. And I love you. And when you do return back, and if you do return back unharmed, you will never, ever go with anybody else. You will be next to my side at all times.
They say he's armed, that he's dangerous. He's wanted by the FBI. Khalil Tatum, wanted in connection with the murder of his wife. Wanted in the disappearance of 8-year-old Relisha Rudd.
He bought my daughter a fish tank, but I stopped it there. No more gifts.
DC General needs to be, I don't know, they need to really do a really thorough background check with these workers.
Sources tell News 4 Relisha's mom had allowed Tatum to take Relisha weeks ago, not suspecting he would hurt her.
The minute people saw that beautiful little girl's face, there were people in DC who could think of nothing else except to find out where she was. Her picture was everywhere. Her on every TV story, on telephone poles, on everywhere. Everyone was sharing it on social media. It was the search for her was something that Washingtonians, people from this area who were living here 10 years ago, you say her name, they immediately know what you're talking about.
My relationship with Relisha, it was good. It was like, even though she wasn't my biological child, it was like, it's hard. It's really hard, but it was special in its own way. She was a real sweetheart.
Bring her home! Bring her home!
We can no longer turn a blind eye to this issue of missing people of color around the country. 40% of the missing population are Black and brown people.
It had been almost a month since she had attended classes, but sources tell us this is not the first time officials knew of problems with the little girl's family.
This family was under the supervision of Child and Family Services, so this child should not have gone missing.
Doreen, why was this guy at a DC hotel, and why did he have this little girl with him?
I think as we look at Relisha's story, we can ask ourselves, okay, what other Relishas are out there, and what am I doing to prevent this from happening?
The significance of this section of the Anacostia is that we are directly downstream from Kenilworth Aquatic Gardens. That is where the search for 8-year-old Relisha Rudd has been focused for days.
That's right off of, and this is for my fellow DMV and Native Washingtonians, right off of Kenilworth Avenue, 201 Kenilworth Avenue, and it is not too far from Mayfield Manor Apartments. And back in the day, for those of you who know, I'm just going to say, if you know, you know. I actually saw several years ago where cadets were in that area and they were actually doing a search, but it seems as though this particular case has died down. Again, Khalil Tatum. I'll put his picture back up real quickly. As I mentioned, Relisha had suddenly stopped. That's key. Attending school in February, but her grandmother, who we saw earlier, stated that there was a note saying that she was having health problems and in the care of a Dr. Tatum. But after a search, they found that there was no Dr. Tatum. There was a Khalil Tatum. And that the number provided on a note by allegedly Khalil Tatum was no more than a ruse because he failed to show up for a meeting with them because the consular contacted the police to report that Relisha Rudd had been missing. The Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, D.C. launched a missing persons probe on March 19th, by which point, and I want everyone to please pay attention to this, March the 19th, by which point Relisha Rudd had already had already missed a month of school. Further on into this investigation, it was revealed that Relisha Rudd and Khalil Tatum was seen on camera, as you can see right here from the still photo, walking down a hallway at the Holiday Inn Express in Washington, D.C., Northwest Washington, D.C. Now, I believe that that particular hotel has changed its name. It's changed its name several times, but I believe it's on the right-hand side of New York Avenue, adjacent to the Dunkin' Donuts. And I know that particular hotel at one time, I'm not sure what it is right now, but I know at one time it used to be a shelter for those without homes. And this was maybe, I'm going to say maybe 10 years ago, if that long, but I do recall that. So as the investigation went on, the footage, as you can see from this still, was dated February the 26th. And footage on March the 1st showed her walking with Khalil Tatum to a room at the Days Inn on New York Avenue in Washington, D.C. March 1st. March 1st. According to the investigation, proved to be the last proof of life for Relisha Rudd. She has not been seen since. I'm going to listen to another quick clip.
Her family. Relisha stopped attending school and her routine quietly changed, but she was not immediately reported missing. After weeks of unexplained absences, school officials contacted authorities. By the time police were alerted, Relisha had already been missing for days and her family had never filed a missing person report.
Now, to me, and this is just me, and I want to just stop for a moment because I understand that people experience the lows in life, the addictions, the depressions, the darkness of life. But what I don't understand, and this is just me, how you are unaware that your child has been missing for so long, and how you can be so trusting with someone, no matter if they were so good with kids. And this is one thing that Shamika Young, the mother of Relisha Rudd, said one of the reasons why she was so open to leaving her daughter, Relisha, in the care of Khalil Tatum is because how she observed how good he was with kids. Now, again, as I mentioned, there are struggles that people experience that I don't quite understand, and maybe that is a contributing factor, but it still does not absolve the fact that the entire system, in my humble opinion, failed this young, beautiful girl. As you heard earlier in this video, there had been problems in the household when Relisha was just 2 years old, and she went missing at 8, and they were under the care of the system. So, again, the entire system, in my opinion, failed her. Now we're going to listen to a clip courtesy of the Steve Wilkos Show.
She was supposed to be going to the emergency room.
Who was taking her there?
My mother.
How did you not know that she had been missing for 18 days?
I didn't have any contact.
Why not?
I'm going to play that for you one more time. This is Shamika Young, mother of Relisha Rudd. Again, the small clip is courtesy of the Steve Wilkos Show.
She was supposed to be going to the emergency room.
Who was taking her there?
My mother.
How did you not know that she had been missing for 18 days?
I didn't have any contact.
Why not?
She didn't have any contact. This case, this sad, heartbreaking case of the disappearance of Relisha Rudd, cuts deep for many people as we watch other cases flood news channels, other content creators, other reporters. This particular case of Relisha Rudd received very little coverage outside of Washington, D.C. Now, as I mentioned, you saw a clip from Steve Wilkos, but after that, things seemed to die down a little bit. And according to reports and sources, it had led to criticism that her case, as well as many of those who are labeled as marginalized and impoverished, do not receive nationwide attention as we are seeing other cases. Every day, almost 24/7. Again, my question to FBI Director Kash Patel and AG Pam Bondi, are you even aware of this missing person's case? This is right here in your backyard of Washington, D.C. In 2014, Relisha Rudd was living with her mother, Shamika Young, as you saw in that clip with Steve Wilkos, at the D.C. General Shelter. Khalil Tatum, 51 years old, janitor, had a felony record for burglary, larceny, and breaking and entering. One of my questions is how? What was he able to get secure a position as a janitor with that background? He was imprisoned, according to reports, from 1993 to 2003, and again from 2004 to 2011. According to reports, he was brought on board as a shelter janitor by the Community Partnership for the Prevention of Homelessness. That was the contractor that operated the DC General Shelter. Again, for those of you that remember, that used to be DC General Hospital. And again, if you know, you know. Viewer and listening discretion is highly advised. Those of you that may have young people in the room with you, I would suggest that you move to another area. I'll give you a couple of moments to do that before we continue. You're listening to The Disappearance of Relisha Rudd. Khalil Tatum, again 51 years old, was known, according to reports, for inappropriately fraternizing with shelter residents and paying particular attention to younger girls. Khalil Tatum, befriended Shamika Young, the mother of Relisha Rudd. Bought her a tablet and took her to see Disney on Ice. Eventually, according to sources, Shamika Young allowed Khalil Tatum to take Relisha Rudd away overnight, allegedly to stay with Khalil Tatum and his granddaughter. However, it was found that was not true. As the story gets darker, and you may wonder, how could it get even darker? Andrea Tatum was found in a hotel in Oxon Hill, which is in Prince George's County, Maryland, the same day that Relisha Rudd was reported missing. According to surveillance tapes, Andrea and Khalil Tatum was seen entering the hotel the night before. Khalil Tatum was seen for the last time on March the 2nd while buying shovel, lime, and 42-gallon trash bags from a Home Depot. Metropolitan Police obtained an arrest warrant for Khalil Tatum for the unaliving of his wife. But another twist. On March 31st, 30 days after the disappearance was reported of Relisha Rudd, Khalil Tatum's body was found in a shed in Kenilworth Park, allegedly by a self-inflicted fatal wound by the same weapon that took the life of his wife. Let's listen to that clip.
Search for Khalil and Relisha. So this is in February. Now we're going to March. Police put out a bolo for Khalil's white GMC truck. They find the truck abandoned, but Khalil is not in the truck. And on March 31st, police get a tip that Relisha is in a shallow grave in a park. So police go to the park, and in a shed, they find Khalil dead from a gunshot wound, a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
So we have 8-year-old at that time, Relisha Rudd, missing. Khalil Tatum, 51 years old, deleted, and his wife deleted. But still, no sight of Relisha Rudd. Here's another clip.
On or about that day, Khalil Tatum, posing as a doctor, tells a city official that Relisha's not in school because she's sick, that she has some sort of neurological disorder, and she's undergoing treatment. The official says, we need some documentation of that. Dr. Tatum said he'd leave the paperwork here at the shelter. March 19th, as the investigation intensified, Khalil Tatum and his wife checked into the Red Roof Inn on Oxon Hill Road. Sources say there's no evidence Relisha was with them at the time. March 20th, Andrea Tatum is found murdered inside that motel room. Mrs. Tatum's family believes she was killed because she tried to protect that little girl.
At this point, we do not know what, if any, type of vehicle Tatum may be driving.
So we utilized all of our resources. We, contacted our team, and we were ready to go to help find and bring her home. And we wanted to amplify her case because we knew that someone knows something, or someone would know something, and we needed to find and bring her home.
We cannot ignore the possibility that he may have killed her.
They had found video of Tatum at
As I mentioned earlier, that they found video of Tatum buying a shovel, lime, and 42-gallon trash bags. I'm going to listen to another clip again. Viewer and listening discretion is highly, highly encouraged. Those of you with children, and you may be aunties or stepmothers, stepfathers of these young children who may be in trouble, please pay attention to this story. And if you suspect anything strange, please let someone know.
Always a secret world of fear hidden beneath Relisha's life at the shelter.
She would tell people at her school, can I stay late? She would make up illnesses to stay at relatives' homes. She didn't want to be there. She called it the trap house.
And according to Vargas, there was trouble in the family even before they moved into the shelter.
Child Protective Services had looked into, I think as early as she was 2 years old. So she was still a toddler when alarms were first raised. Sometimes she would go to school dirty and with her hair unwashed, and they would keep spare clothes there for her and clean her up before class.
The after-school children's playtime project is Relisha's Life Raft, a place where she is safe and happy. Program director Jamila Larson remembers her well.
She was just a joy. Our volunteers absolutely loved having her in our program.
Can I ask you a question? How old are you now?
8.
Then Relisha suddenly stopped showing up for school.
There is a 2 to 3 week period when we are not exactly sure where Relisha was, who she was with.
Investigators find that she has been excused for an illness. At least that's what it seems.
We know that there were calls made to the school as far as excusing those absences, saying that she was in the care of a Dr. Tatum.
But the school would like to know more about Relisha's condition. How serious is it? A meeting is arranged to discuss the case with Dr. Tatum at the shelter. Mysteriously, the doctor never shows up. And that leads to an alarming discovery. Next, the chilling true identity of the man calling himself Dr. Tatum.
He spent time in prison.
He did, several years.
A social worker actually goes to the shelter and asks around and realizes the only Tatum there is Khalil Tatum, a custodian.
That is absolutely chilling. Now, according to several sources, many people and sources have limited theories about what happened to Relisha Rudd. Many people believe, and I caution you, this is pure speculation, that she may have been trafficked, and that Mother Shamika Young knows more than what she has said. Now, authorities, law enforcement, investigators who have been working on this case, and others, community activists, believe that, again, 8-year-old at that time, in 2014, Relisha Rudd was either unalived or sold by her mother, Shamika, and stepfather, Antonio Wheeler, who we saw earlier, to a trafficking crime organization. Now, with all the talk of some certain files, I just find a lot of this eerily similar. Even though the trafficking theory has been ruled out, allegedly by detectives with the Metropolitan Police Department, others feel as though the stepfather and other relatives that Relisha Rudd might be still with us. According to the Washington Post, some years back, a senior law enforcement official suspected that Khalil Tatum, as you can see right here, and again, this was just a suspicion, that he was exploiting Relisha and possibly, I'll just say, sharing her to others, and may have taken the life of his wife because she could have possibly found out about his activities. Others have said, and again, these are unconfirmed reports, that Ricky Lyles, who is the brother-in-law to Khalil Tatum, might have been involved and could have taken the life of Khalil Tatum. According to reports, Ricky Lyles was questioned, but was ruled out as a person of interest. We have another clip. Again, Viewer and listening discretion is highly advised.
A confusing and disturbing story that spans both the district and Prince George's County. And at the center of it is an 8-year-old girl, with big, beautiful brown eyes. You can see her there.
I remember being called to a scene of a homicide in Prince George's County at a motel in mid-March of that year. And we were told by Prince George's County Police that there was a deceased woman inside there. And through the next days and weeks, we learned this astonishing story of the disappearance of this little 8-year-old girl, Relisha Rudd.
Late this morning, a distraught man, seen here in a red jacket, identified himself to officers as Relisha's father and spoke to them about what was going on.
So when everything hit the fan, that's when I found out that she was really missing. You know, like, it was just in disbelief at that point. Like, she really missing?
Oh my God, your baby! How can you go to sleep?
Shamika told us that she was in Georgia with her teacher.
The family says Relisha's mom always had a reason to explain why the girl wasn't around. Relisha wasn't reported missing until Wednesday, when Payne Elementary School alerted police. Investigators say Relisha may now be with a man named Khalil Tatum, who works at a shelter where Relisha and her mom were living.
I want to know why Shamika telling us so many different stories about the case and not being honest.
My family had their own carpet contract, and we would get work, and we would go in and out of town, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, etc., to do hotels and people houses and Airbnbs and office buildings. You know, we had big contracts, so it would take weeks for us to do the work. So, and around the town, this stuff was happening back in DC, I was out of town. So I really didn't know what was going on until I got back home.
Linked to the girl's disappearance, this man, 51-year-old Khalil Tatum, the janitor at the homeless shelter, seen here walking down a hotel corridor with Relisha back on February 26th after police say Relisha's mother gave her daughter to Tatum.
He didn't look like that type of person. He looked like a good person. The way he played with everybody, kids, the way he did his job, it's all in the man's hands above us. And that's one thing.
Well, I can agree with her on that last statement. Everything, my beliefs, is in the hands of the Creator. Again, another quick clip of her appearance on the Steve Wilkos show.
She was supposed to be going to the emergency room.
Who was taking her there?
My mother.
How did you not know that she had been missing for 18 days?
I didn't have any contact.
Why not?
Her family. Relisha stopped attending school, and her routine quietly changed, but she was not immediately reported missing. After weeks of unexplained absences, school officials contacted authorities. By the time police were alerted, Relisha had already been missing for days, and her family had never filed a missing person report. As
Her mama. Her mama would have let me keep Relisha, she'll still be here. We wouldn't be where we at right now.
Always a secret world of fear hidden beneath Relisha's life at the shelter.
She would tell people at her school, can I stay late? She would make up illnesses to stay at relatives' homes. She didn't want to be there. She called it the trap house.
And according to Vargas, there was trouble in the family even before they moved into the shelter.
Child Protective Services had looked into, I think as early as she was 2 years old. So she was still a toddler when alarms were first raised. Sometimes she would go to school dirty and with her hair unwashed, and they would keep spare clothes there for her and clean her up before class.
The after-school children's playtime project is Relisha's Life Raft, a place where she is safe and happy. Program director Jamila Larson remembers her well.
She was just a joy. Our volunteers absolutely loved having her in our program.
Can I ask you a question? How old are you now?
8.
Then Relisha suddenly stopped showing up for school.
There is a 2 to 3 week period when we are not exactly sure where Relisha was, who she was with.
Investigators find that she has been excused for an illness. At least that's what it seems.
We know that there were calls made to the school as far as excusing those absences, saying that she was in the care of a Dr. Tatum.
But the school would like to know more about Relisha's condition. How serious is it? A meeting is arranged to discuss the case with Dr. Tatum at the shelter. Mysteriously, the doctor never shows up. And that leads to an alarming discovery. Next, the chilling true identity of the man calling himself Dr. Tatum.
He spent time in prison.
He did, several years.
A social worker actually goes to the shelter and asks around and realizes the only Tatum there is Khalil Tatum, a custodian.
Relisha Rudd, born October 29th, 2005. Disappeared March 1st, 2014. 8 years old. She had been living in the D.C. General Shelter with her mother when she was last seen with the janitor, Khalil Tatum, who apparently, allegedly, was found unalived by self-infliction, and his wife was found unalived. This case has still been unsolved, and we're coming up on 12 years. For those of you, again, who truly care about everyone, children, young adults, older adults, please make sure this story doesn't disappear along with Relisha Rudd.